Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to our UMake and Technobus, even though we don't have any Technobus people here. But welcome back to our weekly webinars. This week is Graphics Design Month week. And so our staff has, it's not like a national graphic design month, but our staff decided they wanted to follow that theme. So they're going to be presenting some really cool and interesting things for you today. So we appreciate you coming. We appreciate you answering, registering for the classes and continuing to show interest. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our staff, and they're going to go ahead and present the webinar for you. All right. Feel free to type in anything into the chat room. If you have questions, feel free to go ahead and do that along the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlon, for that introduction. So everybody, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us again. I'm happy to start this webinar session again with you guys. We missed you all. And as you could see here, I'm actually at our UMake space, which, I don't know if any of you have seen it, but just a quick little view, if you guys get a little view. This is UMake Miami. Some tables, we have the green screen, the audio booth, that's a 3D printer. So unfortunately right now it's a little empty and we have to keep our distance and put our face mask on, but we're doing just fine. But again, thank you for joining us. And I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen today with you guys and show you what we're going to be doing. Okay, guys, so have any of you played around or have heard about Spark, Adobe Spark? This is a social media graphics tool. So it uses this is an application for both computer and your mobile phone. So you could follow it on both your computer or your iPad, which is what my coworker Jaden will be sharing with us. Okay, so as I was saying, Adobe Spark is a social media creation application. Again, this is for mobile and web design. And what Spark actually offers: Spark Page, Spark Post, and Spark Video. This helps professionals who may be having maybe a small business, or maybe you guys want to get started with a small business and want to create social media content for your Instagram, your Facebook, or maybe your Pinterest. Or even if you're not involved with any of that, you still don't have a business started, but maybe you have hobbies that you'd like to present online, or maybe you want to show this to your parents, because this is a great tool for all ages. So if you are a student, there's actually Adobe Spark Educate, which is free to the students and teachers from K to 12. And this is for example, if you are doing a poster or some sort of presentation or report for school, this is definitely going to help you with your school assignment, or maybe this will show some sort of digital creativity, right? So again, have any of you heard of Spark? I don't know if any of you wrote in the, yes, you have heard of it. Awesome. Sorry, I can't see what you guys are typing, so I have to click back and forth in the tabs.
We'll go ahead and tell you what people are saying.
Okay, thank you. Okay, guys, so this is the home page for Spark. So when you go to sparkadobe.com, it's going to ask you to make an account. Now, this is the free version of Spark that I'm using. So I signed up with my work email and created the account, and I could use this for free and have projects, right? So this is my home tab right here, as you could see. Here it will tell you, show you the projects that you could start. So if you do Instagram story, I love Instagram stories, so I post that a lot. Instagram posts as well. If you notice, they all have different shapes because they all have different dimensions. Each platform has different dimensions, right? So here, Spark actually gives you these templates, these beautiful templates that you can click on them and you could edit them as well. Let's see, for example, this one right here, you notice the little yellow tab here. If you click on it, this is going to actually tell you, like, if you want a premium account, that means you're gonna have to pay for it. Only then, if you upgrade, can you use this template. But that's okay, because if you notice, there's other ones that don't have that little yellow tab. And if you click on it, you could actually go directly into editing. And if you notice, it automatically saves everything that you do, so you don't have to worry about saving or clicking file save every time, because since it's web-based, it automatically saves it for you. Okay. And if you scroll down, you'll see my recent projects, which there's a tab here as well. You'll see any of the projects. If you notice, I just opened this one, so it'll automatically prompt it as the first one, but I'm gonna delete it because I actually don't want that one. Oops. Let's delete that, right? And then down here, you're gonna have small articles and more educational tips and videos that you may want to watch to get other ideas as to what you can do with Spark. But today we're gonna be doing just a small version of, just to show you a quick Instagram post.
So Dinah, someone is asking, what do people use this for?
So like I was saying before, if you are a student yourself, let's say you want to create some sort of project for school, you could actually create posters or maybe presentations or reports that for school assignments. But for right now, for this purpose, if you notice our post on Instagram, our title was "Add Some Spark to Your Social Media." So what we mean by that, it's, if you notice all those pretty content when you go on Instagram and you follow certain accounts, and you notice that they have these cool graphics, or it's not just a picture, but it has like information. If you notice our posts online as well, we use Spark in order to create these graphics, right? And this is where I come and I make them. So I'm gonna show you here. You could use a template, but I'm not gonna use the template. I'm actually gonna create one from scratch. So if you notice here on this right-hand side, we're gonna go to layout. I'm gonna go to a quick banner. If you notice, it's gonna show me two colors. I wanna change the color. So let's go to colors right over here. And you could choose as many colors as you want. So it has different color themes. Let's choose this one. And in the shuffle here, you could actually change the colors, go with whichever one best suits you or that it's more pleasing to you. You could change the sizes of the center box. And of course, this is just a very simple one. This is not in detail, but there's many ways that you can, if you want to get more detail oriented and designing, then trust me, it takes me like a lot of time because I'm very picky about the placement of the words or how I'm going to balance the elements on my canvas, right? Because this is your canvas. And if you notice, it's squared because this is specifically for an Instagram content post. So I'm not really satisfied with those colors, but I think I like this one. You see this little Spark Adobe logo? It actually gives you the option to be able to remove it. But it actually takes you to another tab, and it opens and it gives you, you know, like the plans. So you could start at 19 or you could do it for free. But for this one, we're only going to be doing it for free. let's go ahead and add some text. So here you'll see some fonts, some new type. So you go in here and you could find whichever suits you best. Like, let's see, this one looks nice. I like that. Doesn't have to say Rosie and Spencer, of course. But let's do one for next week. We're going to be doing a webinar on vectors. If you used Illustrator before, that's where we use vectors. But this one, we're going to be using vector.com, which is a free online web-based software that works similar to Illustrator, but it's free online and everybody can use it. So we're going to be talking about that. So let's do a post, road to vectoring. Okay, so let's say I'm satisfied with that, but I don't really want this solid color in the background. Now let's go find ourselves a photo. Now you could actually upload a photo that you yourself have taken. So you could go into your computer and look into your pictures, your desktop, or wherever it is that you keep your pictures. But I don't have any, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and use Adobe Spark's free photos. So I'm going to type in graphics and see what type of pictures it gives me. Okay, so I'm going to use this one. Now, see, notice here that it's going to tell you to do two things. You could either have your picture pinned to the background or move freely. So pinning to the background, since I last clicked this square, it's actually going to pin and get a size to this square, right? But if I choose to do it freely, then it's just going to be, just as it says, you're going to be able to move it wherever you want. But I actually want it to be pinned to the background, so it's going to be my background. And there you have it. Now, this color, we could change it to make it a little bit more vibrant. You could actually change, obviously, the color of your text if you want. You could add effects to it. If you notice, you could notice that it gave you like a little, like another background to it. A shadow, I'm sorry. You can move it, you could rotate it. Pretty much you could play with all these things as much as you want, and then you find whatever is pleasing to your eye, so that you're pretty much the designer. In this case, the graphic designer, right? Now let's go to, I want to go to style. Now, if you notice here, let's say that I'm happy with this, right? And I want to use it for my Instagram. Well, I'm going to go to download, and I'm going to go ahead and download it as a JPEG. I'm going to have to go ahead and download and then email it to myself, because Instagram is a social media platform that is best used for cell phones, right? So it's for your phone. You can't really post on a desktop or from your laptop, but you could post from your iPad or your phone. So I'm going to have to email it. But you know, so Instagram is not the only social media. Let's say I want to create a social media post for my Facebook. So all I have to go do is go to the Resize, go to Facebook, click on it, and it actually resizes it for you. Now, sometimes your elements will move around a little bit, but that's okay. You could go ahead and just resize them again to your pleasing, wherever you want to put it. And if you're ready to go, again, you download as a JPEG or as a PNG, and you'll go ahead and post on your Facebook. Now, Facebook, you could actually access through your desktop and post through your desktop as well, right? Now, let's go back to my projects. And if you notice, it's going to save it immediately right here. And now I'm going to take you to a current post that I worked on. So here, if you notice, I added more elements to my design. I brought in my logo, our logo, which is our You Make Miami logo. I added the website that we're going to be using next week. I gave it a title, Road to Vectoring, and we added a little bit of these little elements here. And we Command Z that just to give it a little bit of design pop in there. And I brought in a photo from this other website that I use, pexels.com, which actually gives you free stock photos that you could use, right? So I'm actually done and I'm happy with this design. So I'm gonna go ahead and download it and email it to myself, well, really to my supervisor. And then we're gonna go ahead and post it so that you guys could see it and register and like it on our social media as well. Okay, now let's go back. So now
That was nice.
this
That was a
is,
nice flyer.
thank you. So if you guys have paid attention in our social media, if you notice here, there's some that I've created and you could see it in our social media. So this is the purpose of Spark. One of the purposes is that it has many functions to it. Um, but now I'm gonna hand it over to my colleague, Jaden, and he's gonna show you the difference when you look at Adobe Spark through your iPad, and what other cool designing elements it has as well. Let me go ahead and stop sharing, and there, let me see.
So
Jaden?
do you think that you can get paid to do stuff like that?
As a graphic designer, I believe so. That is like a subcategory within like the art profession, digital art profession. I'd say
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, usually when people become social media marketers, they not only get involved with the creating all the flyers and the videos and stuff, but they also keep track of the statistics. You know, how many people are liking or commenting on their posts, where are they coming from? So this is very valuable if you want to start a business like Dinah was saying, or if you have a hobby, let's say that you have your own uh, channel on YouTube about video gaming. So you want to see what people are saying, what kind of games they like. So that gives you ideas on how to promote your channel if you're on a YouTube or any
Mm-hmm.
kind of fan website that you might have. Mm-hmm.
If you guys go on YouTube, you see like the videos have these silly or sometimes cool thumbnails. This is one of the platforms that you could use to create those YouTube thumbnails, which is what Jaden is going to be talking about next.
Exactly. So thank you for that introduction, Dinah. I'm going to take over from here. All right. So this is the mobile version of Spark that you can use on either your tablet or your phone. I believe it works on both Android and iOS. So this is a great way to be efficient and work on your projects on the go if maybe you don't have a computer, you're not able to sit down at your laptop. So one thing we're going to go over first is the layout. It looks a little bit different from the desktop version. The first thing that we're going to look at is at the bottom of the screen, there's a section that says templates. Then there's a big green button with a plus sign, and then there's my posts. So right now we are on the templates tab, and here you can see all the different options that you have to choose from to start building your graphic. These are already pre-made graphics like Dinah showed you earlier that you can pretty much select any of them and start changing stuff out, like maybe change what the font says, change the color of the background, and start editing the elements. But before we dive into making our YouTube thumbnail, I wanted to show you guys two quick little tips. On the top left-hand side, there's a little gear. I'm gonna tap on that, and that's gonna open up our settings. So here you can see the settings of your account, but what I want you guys to focus on is video guide, which is the first option in the settings, and sync projects, which is the fourth option. So first I'm going to tap on video guide. And if we look at this, this is pretty much a point of reference. Whenever Spark has an update and has like a new feature that they've introduced, this is a place where you can go to check out what they've added to the app. So here we can see that now they've added text effects. So you can do this cool stuff like how this one either hollows out the text or adds an outline to it. You can change the thickness of the outline. And if I swipe to the right, we'll see the next feature. Here you can have multiple different types of fonts within the same sentence of words, which is pretty cool. And then also we have animations. Sometimes you can even make your graphics move. You can either have the titles come in or have an image in the background move around just to make your graphic a little bit more dynamic. I'm just gonna click out of that. So now I'm gonna talk about syncing your projects, which is the fourth option on this settings drop-down menu. When you tap on this, right now I have mine turned off, but what syncing projects does is if you have more than one device, let's say you have your computer and your phone, if you start working on a Spark post on the desktop version under the same account, so long as you're connected to the same Wi-Fi, if you start on your computer and maybe you have to leave the house and you want to keep working on your project on the go, you can actually go over to your phone, open up Spark, the app, and you'll be able to pick up from where you left off, so long as you have syncing turned on. So this could be really efficient for your workflow if you're somebody who's kind of moving around and constantly on the go. So I just wanted to show you guys that cool little feature. I'm just gonna tap out of that. So now that we've kind of gone over the interface of the app, we're gonna go ahead and get started on making our YouTube template. So I'm going to go to the top right-hand side where there's a little magnifying glass. And here I'm in the search bar, I'm gonna put YouTube thumbnail. Right? So as Dinah mentioned earlier, when you're on YouTube and you're ready to go watch a video, you're most likely to click on the video where the little thumbnail of the picture catches your attention the most. So it's important to make something that's going to capture your audience right away to get them to look at your content. So that's really important if not just for YouTube, but like on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere, you want to make your stuff eye-catching to entice people to look at your page. On YouTube specifically, it's important to not only have an eye-catching template, but also be mindful of specific keywords that might be searched often and popular, and then the hashtag so that people can also find your work through those specific keywords. So I'm gonna make a YouTube thumbnail, continuing off of what Dinah made, also promoting our next session, which is Road to Vectoring. So I wanna pick a template that is kind of art related and maybe kind of gives off the vibe of a vectoring workshop. So I actually spotted one right here. I like this one because it has a little paintbrush on it. And by the way, as you're browsing your templates, if you tap on any of them just one time, it'll zoom in on it and preview it so you can get a closer look and see if you really like that one and that's the one you want to work with. So I like this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and click that green button that says remix this template, which is the same equivalent to edit this template on the desktop version. So now that I'm here, I'm gonna start playing around with the text and the colors and the design a little bit because I feel like this orange and cream color scheme is kind of plain. So I'm gonna start off with the text just by tapping on the text. These little windows pop up at the very bottom that say either edit text, delete, duplicate, select multiple, and secondary style. So I'm gonna go to edit text and we're gonna change what this says. Road to vectoring. Now I see that it's overlapping a little bit with the text under it. I don't like the placement of it. So you can actually just tap on this and drag it to move it around. I kind of like the idea of this little swoop of the pen, making it look like it's writing the words. I'm actually gonna line this up in a way that kind of makes it go together with the brush. I think that looks pretty cool. And down here, once again, I'm gonna tap on it, edit. I'm gonna change this text as well. Say graphics 101. Move that as well. If you want to change the font, on the bottom next to the bolded word where it says edit, we can go to the font tab and we can explore different fonts. So just by tapping on any of the fonts, you'll get a live preview of what that font is going to look like. I think that one looks kind of cool, so I'm gonna go with that. Next to the font, we have our colors tab. Dinah also showed us earlier how you can have different color palettes and play around with the arrangement of the colors. So right now it seems like I have this orange one because that's the one that's suggested with this template, but I don't know. I kind of like green. That's my favorite color. So, oh, actually, I just noticed something. Because I have the text currently selected, I have the square around it, the changes that I'm making are only affecting that text. So if I wanted to change the color of the entire graphic, I actually have to click out of that and hit done on the bottom right corner because I made changes to the text and I'm finished with the font. And I want to focus on just the colors. So I'm going to go to the little palette icon. And here we have our different color palettes. So you can either pick a pre-selected color palette. They're in categories. You'll notice here the first one says decorative, and we have modern, bold, elegant, just as a couple suggestions. I kind of like the bold ones because they're very vibrant. So I'm going to try out this color palette. And you'll notice that when I tap on that color palette, these two little icons appear on the color swatches, which is basically these two arrows kind of twisting into each other and those little lines with the knobs on them. So these two little arrows pretty much switch the colors around. So if you tap on it multiple times, it'll almost kind of like shuffle the colors in that color palette and give you different randomized options. So I kind of like this one because the letters are light and they're against a dark background that makes them pop. So I think I'm gonna go with this one. And of course, you'll notice on the bottom right corner, we have that pesky little watermark that says Adobe Spark. We want that to disappear. So I'm gonna go ahead and tap on that and simply click remove the watermark on this project. And there you go, it goes away. It's a little bit simpler on the mobile version for some reason, but that's the way that you can remove it on the mobile version of the Adobe Spark app. So I'm pretty satisfied with these colors. So once again, I'm going to hit done on the bottom right-hand corner. So the next tab after colors, you'll notice is animation. So here I can actually have some options to maybe make the text move around on the screen to make this a little bit more dynamic. So let's play around with that a little bit. We've got it like fading in, sliding in from the left. I kind of like this one that's kind of blinky. It almost kind of looks like a fancy like street sign. I think it looks cool, but for the sake of the class we're trying to promote, it might be a little bit hard to read. So maybe something that doesn't move around so much. I'm gonna play around with this fading one. Yeah, I think that's the one. I think it looks pretty cool. I'm satisfied with that. So once you've picked an animation that you like, once again, you hit done on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Next, we have layout. We tap on this. You'll notice in the bottom, there's banner, there's grid. This works a little bit better if you have several pictures in your template. So because this is kind of like a text-based graphic, it may not be the best to mess around with it, but I'll click on one of them just so you guys can see what happens when I click on it. Woof. That totally moved everything around.
Wow, that's
Let me
different.
try this. Yeah, it's very different. I mean, all the elements are still there, but it's like really warped. So just be mindful of that. The good news is that if I just go back to simple, ooh, oh no, it messed it up. Well, thankfully,
What
life
about
has,
undo?
not
Can you
life,
undo it?
but in graphics, we have an undo button. Exactly. I'm gonna hit cancel because I don't want any of that. I'm like, never mind. So thankfully, when it comes to digital art, if you make a mistake, you can always undo your mistake and go back to what you started with, thankfully. So like I mentioned, layout works a little bit better when you're working with multiple images because this is a text-based graphic. It may not be the best to mess around with the layout, but that's another option for you guys to play around with in case you make something that has more pictures in it. And then lastly, we have the resize. I'm gonna skip over the brand one because you'll notice it has that little yellow badge that we talked about earlier. That's one of those special features that you have to have the premium account to have access to. So we're gonna skip that for the time being. I'm gonna go ahead and go to resize. I'm scared because I think this is gonna warp it too. But here in the bottom, you'll notice there's a Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram. Here you have the option to take your current graphic and pretty much adjust it to be the right dimensions for a different social media outlet if you decide to use the same picture but for something else. But depending on the dimensions of it, you know, this is long, it's like a landscape rectangular thing. If I were to try to make it a square for Instagram, see what happens. It doesn't quite work that well. So you might have to make separate graphics when you're doing it for multiple social media platforms because trying to use the same one and change the dimensions may not always work out. So just be mindful of that. I'm gonna hit done because I'm just gonna keep it as a thumbnail because I want to make a YouTube thumbnail. And I'm pretty much happy with what I have here. And I think I'm ready to export it. I think I'm ready to save my project. So on the top right-hand side, there's a little green square with an up arrow coming out of it. And here you have the two options for still image or animation. So if I choose video animation, it's going to save it as a video, probably like 4 to 8 seconds long, so it can play back that cool fading in effect with the text that I did before. I think I can preview it here. Yeah, so if I save it as a video, it's gonna do that. And it's pretty much, it should go on a loop where it keeps doing it over and over again. But if I save it as a still image, ooh, there you go. It's not going to be animated at all. It's just going to be exactly the way you see it. So it depends. If you want it to move, you can either export it as a video. I'm going to do that first. And here I have a couple options. Sometimes, depending on what social media apps you already have installed on your device and which ones are currently signed in, it'll give you some options of where to directly export your program to, sorry, your graphic to. So if I wanted to send this straight to Instagram, I have the Instagram button right there. If I wanted to send it as a text to a friend, I can just message it to someone or email it or just copy the link to show someone. But for now, I just want to save the video. So I'm gonna choose the fourth option, which is save video. And you'll notice it says save to camera roll. So it's going to save it directly onto my device in my photo gallery. And I'm also going to go ahead and save the still image version of it. And now another option comes up for the still image. You'll see you have either solid color or transparent. Earlier, Dinah talked a little bit about JPEG and PNG, and we're kind of like throwing all these letters at you guys, but let me explain a little bit about what those two things mean. So a PNG is pretty much a solid picture. Everything you see in this picture, the text, the gray wavy lines, the teal wavy lines, they're all gonna get flattened onto one flat picture and all get joined together. But if you do it transparent, it's most likely going to take some of the negative space in the background, like maybe the gray lines, and make those clear. So you're just going to see all the green parts and maybe not the gray. This can be a cool effect depending on where you're planning on uploading your image, because let's say you have a website and the website background color is like a light blue. If you were to put this image and it had a transparent background against a blue background, the blue of your website is going to pop behind your image. So it can be pretty cool, but you just have to be mindful of where you're going to upload it and the different colors that are going to be against it, because it's going to make your graphic look different. So I'm going to go ahead and save the solid color, which is going to be a JPEG. And then I'm going to save transparent, which is PNG. So I've saved all of these to my camera roll. I want to show you guys how they all look because they're going to be very different from each other. So This is the video one. As you can see, the text is moving.
Was that your artwork that I saw on your camera roll real quick?
Maybe.
Pretty nice, man.
Yes. So this is the video one. This is just the still image. See, nothing's moving. It's all the same. And then this is the PNG. Obviously, it looks very different to the JPEG. Because the PNG made it transparent, it took out some of the color in the background. And see, depending on what background it's on, it's going to look really different. So just be mindful of the different formats that you're saving your graphic as, depending on how you want it to be seen and where you plan on using it. The thing with the video is that you notice when I'm looking at it here in my gallery, it plays once and then it stops. So that may not be the best. I know on Instagram, if you post a graphic that is a video, it'll loop. It'll keep playing over and over again, so you'll keep getting that animation going. But in other places, it might only play once. So be mindful of that too, because you want your stuff to be presentable and look nice the way you want it to be seen.
I always wondered how they did that, how they made like those animated sort of posts. So
it's just a video looping over and over again.
Yeah. So can you add like I know you can add photos, but can you add videos to it, and then like when you save the whole thing, that you have not only animated text and graphics, but also a video in there also?
Actually, that's what Hector's going to go into in Adobe Spark
Oh.
Video. So
Oh.
because I just started talking
Yeah.
about animation, now I'm going to pass it over to him and he's going to take us into that.
Cool. Okay.
All right, you guys see my screen? Should be seeing Adobe Spark. So this is the screen. We're back on the desktop version that Dinah showed us at the very beginning. And just kind of go over a little bit of what she went on to talk about. This is the home screen. So this is where you get at the beginning once you sign up. You also have your projects folder right here on your left. And it shows you all the projects that you have created. If you go into brands, that's part of the paid feature, but it's really good if you're trying to promote your business, because you can create your own logo and post it. You can have your custom colors. You can have your custom design for the font, so that you have a unified look for your website or your business. And if you click here on where it says Learn, the little book, they also have some tutorials that you can follow along that give you some advice. So I'm gonna go back to the home screen. And if you scroll back here, it says, let me move this a little bit to the side, where it says View All. When you click on that, it brings you to this page, which just shows you different templates that you can use for creating graphics. You can even design your web page. There's some videos. But I'm gonna scroll down here to the bottom where it says Stand Out on Social Media. And I'm gonna click on the teaser video, because we're gonna be creating a little video. So this is the first page. So it asks you at the very beginning to give it a name. The cool thing is you can change it later. So I'm gonna call it Road to Vectoring. That's the name of our next webinar on next Friday. You guys might want to tune in. So after you select the title, it presents you with different templates depending on what you want to do. You can promote a specific idea. You can tell a little story. You can do a show and tell presentation. And if you click the next, they have different ones. I'm gonna pick this one that says teach a story or teach a lesson. And it's loading up. Part of being a social media influencer or creator, you don't always have to create content specific. You can just create put little sayings, little expressions, or certain things that are of interest to your audience. So the first thing that comes up after giving it a name is this little quick tips video, and I'm gonna play it for you guys. Let me know if you hear it. But this basically walks you to all the features that are available with a Spark video. All right, so that's the little intro video, and we're gonna cover some of those things right now. So let me X out of that. And this is the screen that first appears when you load up your project. So if you can see down here at the bottom, it has like different slides. Let me move this a little way. You have like an overview and a content. Right here on your right-hand side, you have different aspects. You can have your layout, depending on what kind of slide you want to use. You have your themes, and you can switch the theme in particular. And within each theme, if you click on a different color, for example, right now it has that blue background, but that might conflict with your color of the logo. So if you want to contrast it, you can pick a different color. And you can also switch it around. If it has multiple colors, it'll do black and white, or it'll do uh, red and black. So it gives you different options. You can also resize your video. Right now it's set up for a square mode, but YouTube usually, and most websites that you're able to use to upload your video, like YouTube and Vimeo, they use the widescreen aspect because they give you more range to put more objects in your video presentation. And you also have music. So with this feature, you can add your own music that you have created, like we showed you before, using GarageBand, for example, which we did that webinar a couple of weeks ago. Or you can add anything that is copyright free. If you're using copyright music, it's gonna not allow you to do it. But if you don't have anything like that, you also have some songs down here that will go with the theme, and you can preview them by clicking on the play button. Let's try this one. So you can pick among all those different songs. I'm gonna go with this Pacific Pier. So if you double click on the name, then that's gonna be loading up, and you see there's a little check. So that's the one that we're gonna be using for this. All right, let's go ahead and work on the very first one. I'm gonna go back to the layout, and I'm gonna use, let me use this full screen. So click on the text. Let me type, join us July 24th. Okay, and if you see it's a little bit big, so you can reduce it if you press this little button, the minus, negative. You can reduce the size of it, or you can increase the size as well, depending on what you're going for. I kind of like this one. Also, if you notice, there's a little microphone button, so you can do narration if your computer or your laptop has a microphone that you can record. If you press it, it'll start recording. Right now, it won't let me do it because I'm using it for the Zoom presentation, but you basically just press and hold, and it'll start recording, and when you release it, it'll stop recording, okay? So that's our first slide. I'm gonna move on to the next one. So now I'm gonna put something else. Let me actually show you how to put a picture. So when you click on photo, you can, actually before I do that, you can introduce several different items into the slide. You can do video, if you already have some video. You can type text like I showed you in the first slide. You can include a photograph, or you can use one of the icons that appear as part of the Adobe video. I'm gonna show you that later on. So I'm gonna go with photo. Now you do have a lot of options. you can use the free photos that are available on Adobe Spark. If you have a subscription to Adobe, you can use Adobe Stock. Those are some nice pictures. Also, if you have a Creative Cloud account, you can also grab your pictures from there or from any of these, the Dropbox, your Google Photos, or even your Google Drive. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna upload a picture from my computer. So I'm gonna go down to the screen, and I'm gonna use this picture that I have saved before. It's a little JPEG of a woman on her laptop, and it's loading it up. Okay, so you see we have the picture. And if you click on the picture twice, oops, it gives you some options. I'm gonna introduce a little text as well. And again, I'm gonna reduce the size of that. Okay, so now it has a little webinar in there, and you can move this up by clicking and dragging. Because it's video, it only allows you to put it in the center, top, center directly, or in the bottom, or off to one of the sides. I'm gonna put it right here. Special webinar, yeah, perfect. All right, so if you wanna preview, let's go back to the very beginning, to the first slide, and click preview so that you can see how it looks so far. All right, let me stop it by I clicked on the X to get out of there because I'm gonna work on some of the slides. Now, the cool thing about this Adobe Spark video is you can click and drag and move your slides around if you don't like the order in which they are being presented. You can also, if you click on one of the slides and you see these little buttons, the three little dots, if you click there, it gives you some options. You can delete that particular slide. You can duplicate a slide if you want to use the same elements or just make minor changes, or you can play directly from there to see. I'm gonna delete this because it has a lot of slides, and yes, I'm gonna delete it. So I'm gonna use a different one. And let me go ahead and change this to the title and text. I'm gonna type this, learn how to create illustrations. Okay, and if you see there's another option right here, and I'm gonna click using vector.com. Now you see kind of corrects this. Vector is the proper name, but the name of the website is Vector. Okay, and now we have that slide as well. So let's move on to the next one. And we're gonna be using icons now. So the icon is basically like a little logo or a little illustration. Let me do star. And basically you type right here in this little upper corner what you're looking for. I'm looking for a star, for example, or if you're looking for, let's say they were looking for a puppy. So it gives you different options to look for items. So let me do the little puppy, for example. That's that one. Change it to the star. So logos, if you see the way they're done, these are done. This is what we're gonna learn on next week's webinar. You're gonna learn how to create this. Turn the connection stable. All right. Let me do this. And let me also type in text. On YouTube. On our YouTube channel. And let me resize that. Perfect. And so now we have that. And let me add one more. I'm gonna show you how you can include video. So when you click on the little video icon, I'm gonna include this video, and video is very particular. There are different formats, so you want to make sure that you use MP4. That's the format that it accepts. So this is a quick time. And you can preview it. If you see it down here, you can click on the play button. So that plays that particular video. And if you see down here, you can trim it. You can extend the video. You can click and drag to pick certain parts, or you can trim it by clicking and dragging the corners. I'm going to start it right there. And once you made your choice, you can click save. And it takes a little bit, because video takes up a lot of space. It takes a little bit of time to load. And if you see over here, you can also increase or decrease the size of the video. If it doesn't fit, you can make it larger or smaller. Use that size. You can also trim it. If you didn't like how it looked before, you can also go back to this. I'm gonna cancel. You can also play with the loudness, how soft it is, or you can actually mute the audio if you didn't like the sound of it, if it already has sounds, so that it doesn't mess around with the music that you chose as a background, okay? So let me go, actually gonna hide this one too at the end. I'm gonna hide the credits because we didn't use any credits. And the final slide is this made with Adobe Spark. That always comes out at the end. But if you do have that paid service, the paid program, you can remove this logo and include your own personal logo. So that's something nice that they throw in for those who sign up for the paid feature. Okay, I'm gonna go to the beginning and I'm gonna preview it. Okay, so I like that, but let's say that after you created your whole slideshow, you didn't like that theme, that particular color. You can always come back after the fact and change it. And it'll make all the changes, but it's gonna keep all the different elements, and each theme has its own font, its own color. So there's this one, for example, but you like, let's say, for example, you like this theme, but you don't like the color. Again, you can change that by selecting a different color. And let me see, I kind of like this one, Mega. I used that before and it looks pretty nice. And again, we can preview to see how it looks. And if you see, if you notice, it has different animations and different transitions that it uses. Show the whole video again. So that's pretty much how easy it is to create a video using Adobe Spark Video. You can also share your video. You can publish it directly to your social media. If you click on publish, you give it a title, you can pick a category. You know, if this was a food video, you can use that one. This one is more of a how-to or for lifestyle. But I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm going to actually download this video. So when you click download, it's gonna format all the video and it's gonna download it into your desktop or your downloads folder. The cool thing about like I said, Adobe Spark is that it saves all your documents in that project file. So you can always come back if you want to make a new video. You don't have to start from scratch. And this is the video right here, again, full screen. Now it's ready to be uploaded into YouTube or Vimeo or any of your websites or your social media that accepts the video. So that's pretty much it for my presentation. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Type it on the chat and I'll throw it over back to Marlon.
Very nice.
So
Yes.
I just wanted to say a few words before we close down. First of all, thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Hector, Jaden, very informative. But just to talk a little bit more about the graphic design careers, I want everybody to understand that graphic design is, you know, it takes more than just learning Photoshop and Illustrator and all of these other things to be a graphic designer. There's more depth because there's a lot of history behind it. There's graphic designers have been around for years, you know, like kings and queens. Maybe they didn't call them graphic designers, but those painters that painted those walls, or they were painting like
calligraphy
calligraphy.
or handwriting.
Mhm.
Yeah, these are artists, you know, and there's a whole entire history of it. And I went to school a little bit for it. I'm not a graphic designer. I don't call myself a graphic designer. The reason being is because you really have to earn that name and that title. And I thought it wouldn't be fair without me telling you guys that, because people who just, you know, just if you learn the tools like Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign, those are great. But remember, those are just tools to help you with your creativity, to express your creations digitally. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that, and hopefully you get inspired by it and maybe want to become a graphic designer yourself. Look into that career. It's a very interesting and it's I don't want to say it's easy, but it's also not the most easy. I thought it was going to be easy. A lot of people think it's easy, but it's really not. It's a beautiful career, and if you're interested in it, you should look into that. Oh,
Yeah,
thank you, Noah.
very well said. Yeah, because you know you're right. I mean, there's so much that goes into any career. I mean, you know, everything is so nowadays we have so many tools that are beck and call that we can just slap a video together or a music song with GarageBand. But like Dinah is saying, you know, graphic designers have to know color palettes, how to put colors together, how to put the right fonts together.
Typography.
Right.
Yeah.
Typography is a
Typography.
big thing.
Yeah.
You gotta know the history of it. There's great graphic designers that I didn't even know about, and I was so surprised because, you know, I don't want to. Again, I don't want to call myself a graphic designer because I don't feel that I deserve that title because I did not go to school or finish a whole entire career in that. You know, like just like you wouldn't call yourself a doctor if you didn't earn yourself a PhD. So that's the point that I was trying to make.
Yeah. But you know what I want to talk about, and you started also with it, is about the entrepreneur path. Because
Right.
what you guys just showed us is all about like being able to be your own business person. So
Mm-hmm.
how many of you kids, I guess most of the people here are like teenagers. How many of you want to start your own business or have already started something? You know?
Or maybe just your own hobby that could lead to a business
Yeah.
in the future.
Okay. So we have a couple people. It looks like Noah's
Awesome.
saying sort of. Elizabeth saying
He's
me.
12.
Yeah. So I mean, this is what
Another
we.
thing is, since we had a younger person in the audience, I know younger kids love video games. I know Twitch is like a streaming platform for streaming your video games, like Let's Players. Like you can also use this to make a cool banner for your Switch. I had somebody keyboard smashed in the chat. I think somebody was excited. Yes. Oh, look. So Noah seems to be a Twitch streamer. It looks like he's into video games. So there you go. That's something
Good.
that feels safe.
So we
Yeah, I
know when
know.
Noah.
I follow
Yeah.
a couple of kids on some of my social media because I'm all into business, and some of them are the reason I follow them is because either they're like really big on you know being influencers. You guys have probably seen the young lady who's they call her Miss Flint. She's like a little kid from Flint,
Mm-hmm.
Michigan, and she
Yep.
like you know Flint, Michigan has a big water crisis for years that their water is tainted and dirty, and she goes around like making sure that the community has water. And then there's another group that I follow that these two sisters that have a cookie company, and they're doing like really well. But it's you know just like it's important to think about that when you're young to start thinking about you know managing yourself and getting your own brand out there. And these are the kind of tools that are really can really help you. So if anybody has any questions or anything, let us know. Otherwise, we're going to kind of wrap it up for today.
Yeah.
Anybody has anything to say?
Mm. Looks
Nope.
pretty
Nope.
silent.
Everybody's quiet today.
Everybody's quiet.
Well, remember, guys, tell your family, your friends, tell them about You Make Miami and what great things you guys are learning. And if you guys have any other ideas that you guys would like to learn about or interested in, or maybe like a DIY challenge that you like to challenge me, please go ahead and email Marlon and he'll pass that message along to me.
Sorry. As you can see that we kept sprinkling it in throughout this session, our next week's session is Road to Vectoring. So we're going to be talking about vectors. And just to reiterate what a vector is, since we kept tossing that word around so much, it's basically when you have like a really high resolution, high quality image that no matter how much you shrink it or increase it, it doesn't lose its quality. It doesn't get like pixelated and blurry. So we're going to show you guys that next week.
Definitely.
Fantastic. So lucky, you guys are very lucky because you get a chance to learn from experts. And that's why we have our spaces like You Make Miami and the Technobus and all the equipment that you see behind Dinah. You know, we have expert people who are here to provide you with expert information. A lot of times you have to go to college and, you know, pay a lot of money for classes like this. So like Dinah's saying, tell your friends. And we appreciate you guys coming, and we really hope to see you again for the rest of our classes for July. So thanks again. We'll see you next time. And everybody, please stay safe and be well.
Thank you, guys.
Bye,
Bye-bye. See you
everyone.
next week.
Bye. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.